Welcome back, my dear audience, to Anatomy Student Zone with Dr. Sayyida Sara. Today, I will talk about central nervous system, its organization, and also about parts of brain. And most important, how you can identify these parts of brain or cross section. So, before I'm going to start, or before I tell you, I will recommend you to go through the videos of a nervous system, its divisions, and the cells that I have described earlier. You all know nervous system is divided into two main parts, that is central nervous system, which consists of brain and a spinal cord, and peripheral nervous system. So peripheral nervous system consists of cranial and a spinal nerve and their associated ganglia. Ganglia I have also explained in a previous series. So when you are studying central nervous system, that includes brain and a spinal cord, as a medical student you should know external features and the internal features of the brain, external and the internal features of the spinal cord. So it's very important. So while studying, first study the external feature of spinal cord and the brain, and then how it looks like internally, how you are going to see them. So it's like if you have purchased house, first you observe how it's going to appear, how its external appearance, and when you are going to enter inside that house, then you start looking inside it. So in this pattern, you have to study neuroanatomy. I will also cover the brain and the spinal cord in the same manner that I have told you. First, we will cover its external feature, then internal feature. And in this regard, you should also know from where these regions are going to start, what are their anatomical extent or anatomical feature, what they are having. In general, if I talk about the interior of central nervous system, you should know the brain and a spinal cord. They are organized internally into gray matter and the white matter. As you can see here, what gray matter is, what white matter is, I have already described in a nervous system series, but for revisit, I will say, you know the structure of a neuron. So neuron is having the cell body and axon. Gray matter is a house of neuronal cell bodies, mean it's a collection of a cell bodies of a neuron. Even a literature says the gray matter is a home to neuronal cell bodies, axon terminal and the dendrites, as well as the nerve synapses. So you can see all parts of neuron except axon, if they are collected, we are collectively going to name them as a gray matter. So gray matter is named for its pinkish appearance or a gray appearance because of neuronal cell bodies. And you know the gray matter in the brain and the spinal cord is also known as substantia grigia. So this brain tissue that we name as gray matter, it's abundant in cerebellum, cerebrum and the brain stem. So whenever you will go through the sections of the cerebrum, cerebellum and the brain stem, you will observe gray matter in these regions. In spinal cord, it also forms a butterfly-shaped portion of a central spinal cord that is also made up of a gray matter that we will see later on. So if I talk about white matter, I will say it's composed of, or it is made up of, bundle of axons. And you know very well that these axons are coated or they are covered with that of a myelin. And we know myelin is a mixture of protein and lipids. So what's the function of myelin? This myelin not only protects the axon, but it also helps in the conduction of a nerve signals. It's exactly like if I'm going to make a noodle, I will consider this noodle as a bundle of axon. And on other side, if I have a mixture of a breadcrumb, that you will consider as a mixture of protein and lipid. And if I coat these noodles with that of a breadcrumb, it means the bundle of axon is coated with a mixture of protein and lipid. Now what this mixture will do, it will protect them, it will also help them in a nerve conduction. So that's why the white matter is having white color, whether it's in a brain or a spinal cord, and it's due to presence of a lipid material in a myelin sheath of a many nerve fibers. So white matter in a brain and the spinal cord, it's also known as substantia alba. Alba mean white. So in this way, the nature have decorated the interior of central nervous system with the gray matter and the white matter. Before I proceed to detailed anatomy of a central nervous system, you should know the major division of a central nervous system. I will explain you what are different parts of brain, how they are going to develop. Over here, I am not going to cover embryo. But this will help you to understand the divisions of a brain. This will also help you to understand the cross-sectional anatomy, how you can identify this section on CT, MRI. So let's start our central nervous system that is having two main divisions that all of you know, and these are brain and spinal cord. So before I tell you the division or the parts of brain, it's very important to know when our brain starts to develop. So when our brain is going to develop, first three primary brain vesicles are formed. So that we name as prosencephalon or forebrain, mesencephalon or midbrain, and rhombencephalon or hindbrain. So why these vesicles are having these names? Because prosencephalon or a forebrain, this is a part that is rostral part of a brain, or in simple word, it is a part of brain that is towards the head end of body. So this is the forwardmost portion of brain, and we name this portion as an prosencephalon or forebrain. So midbrain or a mesencephalon is a central or a mid portion of brain, and hindbrain or rhombencephalon, that is shaped like rhombus, it is a lower brain. It is inferior and the posterior most part of brain. So you have to remember these parts. So now what happens in a later stages of development? These primary three brain vesicle, they have to change into five vesicle stage. So forebrain and the hindbrain separates into two while midbrain remains as such. So in this way, three primary brain vesicle, they are going to change into five vesicle stage. So forebrain separates into diencephalon and telencephalon. Diencephalon will form thalamus, hypothalamus, subthalamus and epithalamus, and telencephalon will later develop into cerebrum, that is a part of brain. So hindbrain also separates into two vesicles which are metencephalon and myelencephalon. Metencephalon will form pons and cerebellum, and myelencephalon will form later in medulla. In this way, we are having the division of brain that are mentioned in your gross anatomy books that you used to read. So this is a summary of this division, and you can see three primary parts of brain we are having. From these three primary parts, first part and the last part, that is going to divide, and later on they are going to form five structures. So which structures are included in each? These are mentioned over here. You can see. If you are reading neuro first time, I know it will be difficult for you. But as you are going to cover it and you will be on a next level, you will keep on activating your neuron while studying neuroanatomy, these parts will be more clear to you. Now I will briefly describe each of these primary vesicle, and primary vesicle, you know, they were going to form forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So if I talk about forebrain, that we have covered, and you know it is also known as prosencephalon. So this is a part of brain that is towards the head end of a body, and as you can see in this image as well. So this is a part of brain that is anterior and lateral to this red line. You know, our forebrain controls our body temperature, reproductive function, eating, sleeping, and it also displays our emotions as well. So it means in forebrain there will be an anatomical structure that will performing and coordinating all these functions that I have mentioned. So I'm sure in this complex image you can identify forebrain. First, please identify which section this is. Are you able to? Oh yes, this is enlarged medial view of a right side of the brain, and this is a median sagittal section. It is very important to identify section, which section it is, whether it's sagittal, coronal or a transverse, because they help you in a CT and MRI and also in studying a neuroanatomy. So in this median sagittal section, this part that is highlighted with the blue color, this is forebrain. And forebrain includes, I have already told you, telencephalon and diencephalon. Because primary brain vesicle of a forebrain, it was going to divide into two vesicles which we name as diencephalon and telencephalon. So you have to remember for future this point that I am telling you right now, that diencephalon includes thalamus, hypothalamus. Can you identify thalamus and the hypothalamus in this image? Yes, this is thalamus and this is the center of a forebrain, and it is almond-shaped structure. This structure is very important clinically, even in scans, sections. So in fact, hypothalamus is also very important, I can say. So hypo mean below, so it is below thalamus, and this is pointed over here. It is also having great clinical significance. So thalamus and the hypothalamus, they are included in diencephalon. So here this is a MRI section, and you can clearly identify the thalamus and the hypothalamus here. Besides the thalamus and the hypothalamus, forebrain or a prosencephalon also includes the cerebral cortex, hippocampus and basal ganglia. In this image, you can identify the basal ganglia, which are actually collection or a group of subcortical nuclei, and these subcortical nuclei, they are linked to thalamus and they are located at the base of brain. So the basal ganglia are involved in the coordination of movement. If I summarize forebrain, it's divided into two vesicles, telencephalon and diencephalon. Telencephalon forms cerebral cortex, basal ganglia and the hippocampus, while diencephalon forms the thalamus and hypothalamus. After having the orientation of a forebrain, now I will briefly describe the midbrain as pointed here in red color. This is also named as mesencephalon, and we had seen this primary vesicle remain as such. It was not going to divide like that of a forebrain and a hindbrain into secondary vesicle. So this is a 3D image that is going to show midbrain. In this sagittal section of a brain, hope you can identify anterior and the posterior view of this image. Central part that is shown in this image with red line above and the below is a midbrain that you can see here. You have to remember that the midbrain that we also name as a mesencephalon is also having two parts. So in this image, the black line is dividing midbrain into two parts. The one is anterior to this and the second part is posterior to this. So the ventral or anterior part of a mesencephalon is tegmentum, and the dorsal or the posterior part of mesencephalon or a midbrain is tectum. So hope when you will encounter these words of tectum and the tegmentum in a neuroanatomy, it means you are in a midbrain section. And if the section is going to talk about tectum, it means this is a posterior or the dorsal part of a brain, and tegmentum is anterior or a ventral part of that midbrain. So this is a cross section of a midbrain that you will be having in your neuroanatomy books. You can see tectum and the tegmentum over here. So that's why it's a midbrain, and you can observe tegmentum, that is a ventral part, and tectum, that is its dorsal part. So if I summarize midbrain, it includes a tectum, tegmentum and the cerebral peduncles as well. So these are also included in it. At the end, I will cover the hindbrain or a rhombencephalon, highlighted with the red color in this image. We had seen that the hindbrain was also going to divide into two secondary vesicles that were the metencephalon and the myelencephalon. So metencephalon further forms the pons and the cerebellum, and the myelencephalon will form medulla oblongata. In neuro, it's also very important to know about brainstem, because you will encounter this chapter also. So what is brainstem? It's exactly like a tree are having their stem. Our brain is also having its stem, and it includes midbrain, pons and medulla. And you know, pons and medulla, these are part of hindbrain. So midbrain and the part of hindbrain collectively, they are going to form brainstem. Later on, you will see from brainstem different cranial nerves are emerging. Few will emerge from midbrain, other from pons and a medulla oblongata. So where medulla is going to end, from here spinal cord starts. So spinal cord starts from here, but I am going to end this lecture. You can have a quick review of this table, and I'm sure it will be quite easy for you after this. You can do it. In next part of neuroanatomy, I will cover spinal cord gross anatomy, and later on I will cover its interior decoration or how internally it looks like. So till then, enjoy neuroanatomy, and besides this, please don't forget to hit on bell icon for upcoming videos. Please don't forget to like and subscribe this content. I will be waiting for you second year, as I was thinking about you since long. I have not updated or uploaded your content, so I'm here for you. So you are going through a neuro, I know, and I will try my best to contribute whatever I can do for you. Thank you so much.